Okay, thank you guys so much for joining in. I really appreciate you coming on, seeing this live, or if you're watching the recording. Hopefully, this is going to be really helpful information for you. If you guys don't know me, my name is Brittany Raup, and I have my degree in health promotion and wellness management, and about 20 years experience in personal training and wellness coaching. And I love to just share about different wellness topics. This is our second monthly wellness Zoom. So some of you were here last month for our chat about macronutrients. I'm still letting people in here, sorry. Our chat about macronutrients. I thought that was great, and I hope if you were there that you learned something valuable. And I'm really excited for our topic for tonight, which is everyday tips for blood sugar balance. I have recently learned a ton about this topic. I've really been just kind of geeking out with the research that's been coming out. And so I'm just excited to share some tips with you, and I think it will really benefit you. And you may think this is an important issue for you, like if you're pre-diabetic, or you may be like, I don't really know if my blood sugar is an issue. But it really is important for everyone, right? Like you most likely know that blood sugar issues are linked to diabetes, and that's true, but blood sugar balance is important for everyone because the big three things for your overall health and wellness are blood sugar, inflammation, and gut health, right? BIG, very easy to remember: blood sugar, inflammation, and gut health. And when you work on those three things, you can really transform your health. So you will hear me talk about those a lot. And of course, there's a ton of overlap between all these different topics. Like we talked a ton about protein with macronutrients. You're going to hear about protein again tonight. But let's first start with just a little background on what blood sugar is. And I'm going to ask you for like some feedback as we go. So make sure you can access the meeting chat. And if you guys have questions as we go, please feel free to pop it in and I will try to keep an eye on it and answer questions too. Okay, so a little background on what blood sugar is. Blood sugar is also called blood glucose. So if you get your blood work done, you see your glucose, that's what that is. And your blood sugar is the amount of glucose in your bloodstream at any given moment. So our goal is not zero sugar, right? That's never going to be the case. Our goal is stability. So if you get your fasting glucose down, that's usually part of your annual blood work. And what your physician would be looking for is a healthy fasting blood sugar, which is usually between about 70 to 100. Pre-diabetes is 101 to 125, and a diabetes diagnosis would start at 126 or more for your fasting blood sugar. You also might get your A1C checked. And what that is it shows your blood sugar control over the past 2 to 3 months. So it's more of like a long-term look at your blood sugar instead of just the like right now snapshot of your fasting blood glucose. And the A1C, it shows the percentage of hemoglobin, that's your red blood cells, proteins that are coated in sugar. Really interesting, right? How many of your red blood cell proteins are coated in sugar? And it's a percentage. So below 5.7% is normal. Pre-diabetes is 5.7 to 6.4%, and diabetes is 6.5% or higher. So that's kind of like the clinical stuff, like what is blood sugar. But tonight, I just want to give you some tips for how to optimize your nutrition and just some simple things you can incorporate into your life to keep your blood sugar stable. Because what happens is it's always going up and down, right? We eat and our blood sugar rises, and then our body puts out insulin to kind of push that blood sugar into the cells, and then the blood sugar comes down, and we go through this cycle. Our liver is also really involved with that because your brain needs sugar. So if you are not consuming the sugar that you need, your liver will break down glycogen, which turns into glucose to keep your body going. That's why we can fast and we don't bottom out, because our liver does part of this too. So there's GI interaction, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So tonight is not about dieting or cutting everything out. It's really about understanding how your body works and how some small daily habits can really dramatically impact your energy, your mood, your cravings, and your long-term health. So let's talk about what happens when your blood sugar is not balanced. Here are some symptoms of imbalance. And if any of these resonate with you, just say me in the chat, okay? If you hear one that resonates with you. So here's the symptoms of imbalance: afternoon energy crash, strong sugar cravings, brain fog, mood swings, waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. Maybe you didn't know this was a thing, fatigue after meals, and belly weight gain that is stubborn and hard to lose. Okay, I see some me. So you guys can resonate, right? So I want you to see that you are not alone. Me. Yeah. Okay. You are not alone. Most people experience some of these things. Now, of course, there's other contributing factors. It's not all blood sugar, but blood sugar is playing a role in all of these. And we're going to talk specifically about the waking up in the middle of the night a little bit later. But some of us are riding a blood sugar roller coaster. So instead of gentle rolling hills of blood sugar, we are going like spike, crash, spike, crash. Thought it was due to perimenopause. Yes, that absolutely can have an effect. And your blood sugar and your hormones, there is a lot of interaction. So we're going to talk about that. But some of us are riding this like blood sugar roller coaster. And here is the cycle. Okay. We eat refined carbs or like highly processed carbs and a low protein meal a lot of the times, right? Typical American diet, refined carbs, low protein meal. The blood sugar spikes quickly in response to that glucose dump that you just ate. The blood sugar spikes quickly, and then your body has to pump out insulin to get that blood sugar down because it's too high. It's not good for you. So insulin pumps out, and often your insulin overcompensates. Okay, so it actually shoots too high, which causes your blood sugar to crash, which leaves you feeling tired, hungry, craving sugar, wanting a coffee, and then we repeat the cycle. Okay. So I'm curious, when do you usually feel your biggest energy crash? I'm going to give you a number. You can put it in the chat. Put a one if mid-morning is when you struggle with energy, like you just feel like boom, you come crashing down. So one mid-morning, two to 4 p.m., three evening, or four, I'm tired all day. Okay, so some twos. So one mid-morning, two is 2 to 4, three is evening, four is I'm tired all day. Okay. So mostly 2 to 4 p.m. or evening. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. So this whole thing, it's not about just willpower, right? Sometimes we're like, I just got to eat better. And that's true, but it's about your physiology. Like you need to learn how to work with your body and realize that if you can kind of break that cycle of the glucose roller coaster, you're going to have less cravings and you're going to feel more stable. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my personal story with you. So back when I was in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it's very, very much linked to insulin resistance. Okay. I was young and I was a personal trainer, healthy weight, like runner, like eating healthy, I thought, but not really. But my symptoms were I couldn't go a few hours without eating. I would get like shaky, anxious, starving, right? And so it was when I had two miscarriages and finally started looking into like what was going on with me that I realized I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I had like over 30 cysts on my ovaries due to this PCOS, which is this whole syndrome. And so my doctor put me on metformin. Okay, that's diabetes medication. So it was a band-aid and it helped in the sense that I was able to have children with the metformin. I had my first three kids pretty heavily medicated, metformin every day, progesterone 3 times a day, but it was really a band-aid, right? It wasn't fixing the issue. It was just kind of like chilling out my sugar, but I felt like trash while I was taking it. It was after my third child that I really started to focus on gut health, on nutrition, cutting down gluten, increasing protein, and that didn't put a band-aid on it. It actually reversed my PCOS. So by getting to the root cause and lowering that glycemic load, getting higher protein, really focusing on my gut health, I no longer have any symptoms of PCOS whatsoever. I was able to have my fourth baby with no medication, just supplements and focusing on my nutrition. So that is crazy. It's when I tell people like gut health changed my life and, balancing my blood sugar changed my life. It's actually true. It really did. And so now what the research is showing is that 12 weeks, so you take someone with PCOS and you do 12 weeks of a Mediterranean slash keto diet and it reverses the PCOS, right? Isn't that amazing? So it's like, why don't we start with that instead of metformin? Why don't we start with nutrition? And so I want to give you these tips because maybe you don't have PCOS, but maybe blood sugar is an issue. And once your fasting blood glucose is high, that is like, there's been years and years and years of insulin resistance going on, right? When I went in for my blood work and I was all messed up, my fasting glucose was normal. It was completely normal. When I did a 3-hour fasting glucose test, that's when we saw that my insulin went way too high and then my sugar bottomed out. And that insulin resistance, what was causing all my issues. So don't look at your fasting blood glucose and think, oh, I have no issues. You still might. Okay. It doesn't really show up. So let's get into these practical everyday tips. And here's the thing about blood sugar balance. There's a huge variety in how different foods affect different people. Okay, so I'm looking at my friend Fern right now. If I eat a banana and Fern eats a banana, she may have hardly any glucose increase and I might have a lot. And that's normal. Like everybody's a little different. But what we do know is the things that work to control blood sugar, they work across the board. So whether you have a big response from a food or a smaller, the same things will help both people. And I've been really geeking out over some research that's come out with, if you guys have ever heard of Dr. Mark Hyman, he's on Instagram a lot. And he's got a really great podcast called The Pharmacy, Farmacy. And I was listening to his interview of this doctor who did a long-term study of 16,000 people wearing a CGM. That's a continuous glucose monitor. Have you seen that? Like it goes on your arm, monitors your glucose all the time. They studied 16,000 people that they logged their food for several months and they watched all of their blood sugars the entire time, right? So there's tons of data now that they are digging through and they're giving us the results of this. And this is some of the tips that I pulled from is from this study. So these are practical things and they're evidence-based, they're science-based, they really work. So number one tip is prioritize protein at every meal. Okay. And like I said, if you were on our call last month about macronutrients, you might be like, goodness, this girl talks about protein a lot. I really do because it's a game changer. So having protein will slow down your glucose absorption, help you feel full for longer, and it supports your muscle, which improves insulin sensitivity. So the more muscle mass that you have, the better you're going to do with processing your glucose and your insulin. So a practical tip is to aim for 30 to 50 grams of protein at every meal. And I think we have mostly women on this call. I guarantee you, if you're not intentionally focused on your protein, you're probably not getting nearly 30 to 50 grams per meal, sometimes not even 30 to 50 grams per day. Okay. So really focusing in on protein can make a huge difference. And just some easy protein options are eggs and egg whites, Greek yogurts, different types of seeds, and of course your meats like your chicken, turkey, beef, fish, tofu, lentils, a good quality protein powder. That's something that I do pretty much every day because I'm a mom of 4 and on the go. So a protein powder can be helpful too, but making sure every meal has protein. And that's tip number 2. Pair your carbs with protein or fat. Okay, so this will stick with you. Never eat naked carbs. Okay, never eat naked carbs. And what I mean with that is that your carb is not clothed in any protein, fat, fiber. It's just naked. It's just by itself. Think like starch only or sugar only, right? Bread only. That is a naked carb. The problem isn't that we eat carbohydrates, it's that we eat them alone, and that causes that huge spike. So you've got to pair your carbohydrates with protein or fat, and ideally some protein, fat, fiber before you eat your starchy food. So even with your meal, if you have a carbohydrate, a protein, a fat, just wait and eat your carb last. Eat your protein first. It's going to buffer that glucose, spike that you're going to get. So examples of great pairs, if you want toast, have it with eggs or avocado, right? Protein, fat, or both. If you want an apple, it is a carbohydrate. Have it with almond butter or peanut butter or a little bit of cheese. If you want to eat rice, have chicken, right? Like make sure you're not eating naked carbs. This slows that spike and it helps you have those rolling hills of blood sugar instead of the huge spikes and drops. And you really want to avoid refined carbs. And as I was listening to all the research coming out with the continuous glucose monitoring, some of the things were really shocking. So they talked specifically about breakfast cereals, which I know are bad, right? But you're going to be shocked. So the number one worst breakfast cereal for a blood sugar spike is Cinnamon Toast Crunch, okay? And they actually compared a piece of peach pie and Cinnamon Toast Crunch for breakfast as two options, which are not great options, right? But the piece of peach pie caused less of a glucose spike than the cinnamon toast crunch. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather eat a piece of pie because there was a little bit of protein, there was a little bit of fiber going on, and not just like completely naked carbs. Um, so that was really interesting. And put in the chat, tell me what you think the second worst cereal is for blood sugar spike. This was very surprising to me. If you have a guess, put it in the chat. So first, number one worst cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Put a guess in. What do you think the second worst is? Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops. Yep, that's where my mind went. I went, what are they called? Lucky Charms, right? This was shocking. The second worst cereal, Chelsea, you nailed it. Honey Nut Cheerios. That is the right? The second worst cereal for blood sugar spike. So some of the stuff you think like it's kind of labeled as like a healthy-ish option, right? No, they're terrible. And here, okay, we'll do one more guess. Tell me what you think the absolute worst food overall, worst single food for blood sugar spike. I mean, I wouldn't even really call this food, but it's not a cereal. Ice cream, good guess. So ice cream has some fat though, right? So that's gonna buffer the sugar. Watermelon, interesting. See if there's any more guesses. Pop-Tarts. Oh, good guess, Talena. It is Skittles. A bag of Skittles is the absolute worst of all candy, all food, as far as putting your blood sugar absolutely through the roof. They said that a Snickers bar causes half the spike as a bag of Skittles. Why? Because it's got nuts in it, right? So it's buffering that response. And they also said a Cliff Bar causes a higher glucose dump than a Snickers. Really surprising. Like things that are labeled healthy sometimes cause a big spike. Other surprising spiky foods are bananas, grapes, any kind of fruit juice, corn on the cob, and energy bars, even the healthy ones. So it's not like you can never have those things, but it's just important to know, right? Like if you want to have grapes, realize they have a lot of natural sugar. Pie and Snickers are health foods. No, I did not say that. Do not quote me on that. But some of those even healthy foods, like I love bananas, but just make sure you don't eat it naked. Okay. Don't eat it by itself. Make sure you clothe it with some protein. And they also said some of the best foods for stable blood sugar. These are such delicious foods: frittata, avocado, eggs, Greek yogurt, chia seed pudding. I love all of those things. So those are some of the best foods for just almost no blood sugar response whatsoever. But no matter what you eat, because we're all going to enjoy a sweet or a starch, right? Like it's part of life and you should enjoy your food, but just clothe your carbs. Don't eat them naked. So make sure you get a healthy fat or a healthy protein. Like if you're going to have chocolate cake, throw some Greek yogurt on it. Okay. It'll just buffer the response. All right. So tip number 3 is eat savory instead of sweet breakfasts. All right. A lot of the research that they came out with showed that some of the worst foods were breakfast foods because our culture is a sweet breakfast culture, right? Like all the popular breakfast foods are sweet. And your cortisol, which is like that hormone you produce when you're stressed, is naturally high in the morning. And so you might be craving sugar, you might be wanting that, but a protein forward breakfast is going to always be superior than a sugary breakfast. Okay, this is also really important for parents, grandparents, okay? Really want to step in and help your kids make good choices. You don't want to let them be out the door to school or on the bus with only carbs in their belly. If we do that, we're really setting them up for failure because they're going to crash within 90 minutes to 2 hours. So in my house, like I mentioned, I have 4 kids. The kids know that they have to have protein with breakfast. So if they want a bagel, that's fine. You have to have eggs with it or do a half bagel with peanut butter, right? If you want oatmeal, I'm putting a scoop of protein powder in it and some chia seeds or PB Fit powder, okay? If they want cereal, that's fine. There's going to be Greek yogurt underneath, right? It's not like restrict all everyone's favorite foods, but just make sure they get some protein with it because so many of those big culprits for blood sugar spikes are breakfast. So just think savory breakfast, not sweet breakfast. Number 4 tip, I love this one. Walk after meals. This is huge. It has a major impact and it is underutilized. Even a 10-minute walk after a meal improves your glucose uptake, meaning it's getting the blood sugar down, it's helping your insulin to be more effective. They talked about this a lot in the research I was reading. And even just like doing some squats in the kitchen, taking a walk with your family, or they said play your three favorite songs and have a family dance party after dinner. Like put the dishes in the sink, dance around for three songs, and you're great. It has an enormous impact on, they call it fire walks. I'm looking at the chat. That's so funny. It has an enormous impact on your blood sugar and also your mental health, right? It's so good for you. I know it's cold out, but that'll be changing soon, hopefully. And here is how big of a difference it has. So in this study, they sent 2 cans of Coke to all the participants. Coca-Cola. And they said on day one, just drink the Coke. And of course, we're monitoring your blood sugar with the CGM device, and we'll just see what happens. On day two, drink the Coke and take a 10-minute walk. There was a 33% decrease in the blood sugar spike with the Coke with the 10-minute walk. So a 33% decrease. That's crazy for just a 10-minute walk. So it's not just like, oh, it's nice to take a walk after dinner. It actually really makes a big difference. So if you can get a few steps in, a few squats in, whatever, some kind of movement after each meal, that is going to really, really help. Another amazing tip that you can utilize pre-dinner, and I'm just talking about dinner because it's normally when we have the most calories, probably the most carbohydrate. Drink some apple cider vinegar in a glass of water before dinner. This really reduces the glucose spike and the insulin dump from your meal. So apple cider vinegar, about 4 teaspoons in water, just toss that down maybe while you're cooking, and that's really going to help reduce the spike from your dinner. Okay, so a couple more tips. Number 5, strength training. Strength train 2 or 3 times per week. This doesn't have to be insane, crazy CrossFit doing pull-ups and jumping off stuff. It can just be body weight exercises. It can be dumbbells. It's not about getting ripped or like having the perfect body. It's just about maintaining strength as we age, staying mobile, and keeping that lean mass to help our blood sugar stay stable. So just 2 or 3 days a week, getting some strength training in is going to really improve your blood sugar control. If you need a resource, I have really been loving, she's on YouTube. Her name's Lindsey Baumgren, and her program is called Nourish, Move, Love. I will put it in the chat, Nourish, Move, Love. If you just Google that or look it up on YouTube, she's got wonderful workout videos. There's one called Strong 20. That's 20-minute strength training workouts. I've been using them myself, loving them. And that's a great free resource. You don't have to join a gym. There's lots that you can do from home. So strength training 2 or 3 days a week. 2 more tips. Number 6 is manage stress. So stress raises your cortisol, which raises your blood sugar. I know everybody's, busy, got a lot going on, and there's always going to be stressors and things that, cause us stress, but you can manage this the best you can. Some tips are just 5-minute breathing resets. When you feel like that anxiety or stress starting to come up, just taking a 5-minute breathing reset, doing some deep breathing, having a phone-free morning. Very important, in the first 30, 60 minutes of waking up, don't pick up your phone. Making sure you get sunlight exposure. Even when it's cold, that sunlight is still impactful. And then having like a prayer or quiet time, meditation time at the end of the day, just to wind down. Again, turning the screens off, that can really help manage stress. In the chat, did I say to drink apple cider vinegar before each meal? You could definitely do it before each meal, specifically dinner, if that's going to be your higher carbohydrate meal. Okay. And then number 7 tip, we mentioned sleep. Some people waking up between 2 and 3 a.m. 4 teaspoons for the apple cider vinegar. If you have a really sensitive stomach, start with less and see how it sits with you. Okay. So number 7 tip is to improve sleep. Poor sleep reduces your insulin sensitivity for the next day. Okay. So your blood sugar balance for today started last night when you got in bed. And so things that can help are consistent bedtime, right? Just going to bed the same time, having a protein balanced dinner, and really avoiding heavy sugar at night. That late night snacking is going to cause spikes. So often if you're waking up around 2 or 3 a.m., it's because your blood sugar is bottoming out. So your brain is like, Wake up, we're dying. Blood sugar is crashing, right? It releases adrenaline and cortisol to bring your blood sugar up and to wake you up. These hormones wake you up, and it's not just random insomnia. It's actually like a mini stress response because your blood sugar is so low. Maybe you wake up and you want to eat something, right? Yeah, your brain's telling you like we're bottoming out. So tell me in the chat if that ever happens to you, that 2 to 3 a.m. wake up. I'm finding it's pretty common as I'm chatting with people. They're like, yes, yes, that's me. So some tips to remedy it. Again, we said eat a balanced dinner, 30 to 50 grams of protein. Okay, yep, people are saying yes. Fiber, healthy fat, and moderate carbs. Wake up almost every night at 3. Okay, could be a blood sugar thing. Um, so an example of a bad dinner would be like pasta, bread, wine, right? Like that kind of dinner that you're gonna crash. Like there's no way that's getting you through the night. A better dinner would be like salmon or chicken, roasted broccoli, and a small portion of brown rice or sourdough bread. It's not like you can't have any carbs. Just have a smaller portion with a lower glycemic index. So avoid the white, highly processed carbs and eat them at the end of your meal, right? When you've got the protein in. You can also try a small protein-based snack about 60 to 90 minutes before bed if you think that will help. Some people, so it's different for everyone. You might have to play with it a little bit. If some people, if you stop eating, then you get that your body in that fasting mode where your liver is stabilizing blood sugar and you're good. Other people need a protein snack before bed to have a good night's sleep. So play around with it, see what works better for you. If you're someone that needs a protein snack, go with like Greek yogurt and chia seeds, or almond butter, cottage cheese, a handful of high protein nuts, not cookies, cereal, chips, popcorn, right? Those are the things we like to eat at night. Not good. And you really want to avoid the liquid sugar. Okay. Another thing we like to do at night, wine, cocktails, sugary coffee drinks, ice cream, those dessert type things, they are causing a huge spike and then a huge crash. Okay. You can also support your relaxation and reducing stress and cortisol by taking magnesium before bed, not scrolling your phone, and making sure that when you wake, you're having protein within 1 hour of waking. Okay. So those are some of the better sleep tips. Okay, we are almost out of time. I really try to keep these to just 30 minutes. So I'm just gonna wrap up with a simple, like 5-step starter plan because that was a lot of information and a lot of tips. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I want you to walk away with some really practical tools. So if you did just these 5 things this week, here they are. Add protein to every meal. Walk 10 minutes after at least one meal daily, probably dinner. Stop eating naked carbs. That's going to stick with you, I promise. Lift weights twice or do some kind of strength training twice and improve your sleep by 30 minutes. That alone, those 5 things could really change how you feel. You might feel a massive difference in your health. Okay. So we're going to finish up with one little kind of quiz activity to see how much you guys retained. But I am going to put a link to a Google form. This is if you enjoyed this and you want to be on the list for future wellness Zooms, or if you have topics you'd like to hear about, or any feedback, if you click the Google form, there's just a couple of questions that would mean so much to me. It just helps me know what topics you guys are interested in and anything we can do to improve. I'm also happy to send you the recording, Jody. And if anyone wants to chat individually about your health goals, you can tell me in that Google form and I will absolutely reach out and chat with you. But okay, let's finish really quickly with a game. All right. It's called Lower Your Glycemic Load. I'm going to give you a starchy food and you tell me what you could pair with it. So I'm going to give you a naked carb. You tell me how to clothe it. Okay. So use the chat. Number 1 is toast. Eggs, awesome. Snickers, no. Peanut butter, avocado, egg, peanut butter, love it. Greek yogurt, avocado, awesome. All great ones. Okay, next one is white rice. Clothe the white rice. Chicken, awesome. Salmon, chicken and veggies, salmon, yeah, great. Tofu, yeah, great. Steak, turkey, yep, high fiber veggies, love it. Okay, next one, baked potato. You're having a baked potato. How can you clothe it? Cheese, that'll help a little bit. Greek yogurt, yep. Instead of sour cream, great choice. Skittles. All right, who is Zoom user? Broccoli, cottage cheese. Yeah, that would be great. Okay, some other ones I put down, chili. You could put some chili on your baked potato, right? Okay, next one is a banana. How can you make that a better option? Absolutely. Banana and peanut butter. So good, right? Greek yogurt too. PB Fit. I love PB Fit. Okay, pasta. How can you clothe your pasta? Mm-hmm. Yeah, hamburger, feta cheese, peanut sauce. Yum. Meat sauce, right? So the PB Fit is a peanut butter powder. It's like dehydrated peanut butter, basically, that you can just shake into like a protein shake, or you can put it in yogurt and stir it, and it'll just dissolve in there. You can also add water and actually make it into peanut butter. So that is like a staple in my house. I get it at BJ's. I think you can get it at Costco or Walmart. Protein powder I use Plexus Lean protein because it's really clean. It's got prebiotics and lots of vitamins and minerals. Tastes awesome. Okay, last one, and then I'll let you guys go. Chocolate cake. You're gonna have chocolate cake. It's your birthday. How can you clothe your chocolate cake? And I picked that because that's my favorite. I love chocolate. Eat a cheese stick with it. Yeah, great. Nothing. Scrambled. Ooh, scrambled eggs. Nuts. Good. How about peanut butter or Greek yogurt? I kind of want Greek yogurt on my next piece of chocolate cake, right? Yes. Okay. So great job, guys. You are understanding this concept, and now it's something you can put into practice. When you have a carbohydrate, just think, I can't eat this naked. I have to clothe it. Okay. So thank you guys so much. I hope you'll tune in next month. I will, if you filled out the Google form, I'll send you an invite. I think we're going to talk about gut health and FODMAPs. You might not know what that is. And for anyone who wants more structured support around gut health, energy, blood sugar, that's literally what I do. So feel free to reach out to me for guidance. And again, use that Google form and I will connect with you one-on-one. But thank you guys so much for being here. This was a lot of fun. I hope it was valuable and hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.